welcome. Happy Saturday, world. Welcome to another episode of Dayanas talk show. This show will continue in English. ஆமாம், இன்று வந்திருக்கும் சிறப்பு விருந்தினர் ஆங்கிலம் மட்டும் பேசுபவர் என்பதன் காரணத்தினால் நான் இந்த நிகழ்ச்சியை ஆங்கிலத்திலேயே தொடர்ந்து செல்ல போகின்றேன். In my last episode, I had the opportunity to take you all on a virtual trip to meet this beautiful immigration lawyer who shared all the information for all the people out there who wanted to come to this beautiful country of Canada and start a new life. But on today's show, it's going to be a different special guest. And you might wonder, who am I going to take you on a virtual trip today? All right, so today's guest is from Canada, Toronto. And for those of you who are watching from other countries, you're more than welcome to go on a virtual trip with me to meet this. How do I put this word now? He is a young and a good-looking investor. Yes, we are going to be talking about investment because a lot of people do not think about having a good financial plan or investment plan until something happens. So when pandemic hit, everybody is running around to know where should we invest, how do we invest, how do we make money. So now the new trend, as we all know, or at least most of us know, is Bitcoin. And today we have this handsome investor who calls himself Bitcoin consultant. But he was a DJ who all of a sudden became a Bitcoin consultant. His name is Peter Ratnikov, and here is an intro about himself. That is Peter for us, a DJ turning into a Bitcoin consultant. All right, let's bring Peter onto screen. Hello. How are you, Peter?
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. It's a beautiful Saturday afternoon here in Canada. It's sunshine. The sun is saying hello to us. How are you feeling? How is everything? How was your afternoon? Good?
Everything's amazing. Life is good, happy, grateful, you know.
Oh, life is good, happy. You know, it is so difficult to hear this from every individual, and only those people who are financially doing well has that answer. Yeah, good. I'm happy, you know. So there should be something right. There should be something right that you're doing, because if not, you wouldn't be coming out here in public and talking about Bitcoin. So before we jump deep into this, first, could you give us a little background of how did this young DJ, how did this transition happen from DJ to a cryptocurrency person, like a Bitcoin consultant? How?
So we'll go through my story as quick as possible. So I got into the employment and understanding money as well as I could at a pretty young age. So at 11 years old, I had my first job as a newspaper delivery guy. For anyone younger watching, newspapers used to be something they sold everywhere and people would get them delivered, believe it or not. So that was my first job. At 12 years old, I started placing ads in the buildings I was doing all the deliveries for. And I had a first one in the neighborhood with a CD computer that could burn CDs. So now I was selling little CDs and little Mickey Mouse businesses by the age of 12. And very young, by the time I was 13, I was pretty educated that we had a debt-based monetary system, meaning all the money that's created is debt. And it seemed like a system that wasn't logical and that had major issues since 1970. And I knew this as a very young person, and most people didn't want to talk about it. And I like being happy and I like enjoying life. I figured out how to make 6 figures when I was 16 years old. So when I was in high school, I was already making more money than my teachers, and through random businesses. I had a door-to-door sales company. I employed 50 to 100 plus kids in my neighborhood growing up as a teenager. So I was very in tune with what was going on financially. And I remember being 19 when George Bush was the president of the US. He single-handedly in one term doubled the whole nation's debt. So whatever took the US 200 years of debt, he single-handedly doubled it. And then Barack Obama did the same thing. And then Trump did the same thing. But back then, when you talked about it, there was no solution. And it's kind of a depressing conversation. If us living day to day, right, we can't make a change. We have no choice. We have to use the form. We want to get water, milk, shelter, experiences, and we have to use the money that's around us. And there was no other option. So when Bitcoin came, that's why I got into DJing. The corporate government structure of the world never made sense to me. And as an entrepreneur, I love freedom. I love my life. I like enjoying people's company. And something every time I entered something too corporate, too in with the state, it just didn't connect with me. So I figured, you know what could I do to just enjoy my life? What better way to get paid than just for partying and playing music? And I was doing that anyway. When I was getting my success from finances from other businesses, I would spend it in nightlife anyway. So as a person that understands life, I'm like, okay, if I'm gonna use my resources, energy in this place, and I could actually be in a position to actually have the same experience and be paid, why wouldn't I be, right? So when Bitcoin, when I first heard it, I studied a rapper named Curtis Jackson, 50 Cent. And I remember being on a vacation and on a talk show, he came on in 2014, December, saying he accepts it for all of his payments. And to me, I was just like, I've read at that point, all the books he had out. He has a few really good books. So even though he's a rapper, he's more of an entrepreneur that chose rap as his outlet, as opposed to a true musician. Like 50 is very, very smart when it comes to business. So when I heard this gentleman say he accepted it, January, when I got back from the vacation, luckily, blessings, somebody on LinkedIn also pitched me on a Bitcoin business. And I just remember 50 Cent talking about it last month. So I was like, you know what is this thing, Bitcoin, right? I thought it was going to be just like a PayPal, right? Another payment processor online, who cares?
Right.
When I actually understood that this can change the world, for 3 weeks it took me, right? I didn't barely ate, slept. I had like a laptop, an iPad, and a phone going at the same time. I'm reading articles, researching everything, falling asleep like this. My girl at the time was like, what's wrong with you? Like, you've never done this before, right? But 3 weeks later, I understood the technology. Within a few short months, I was holding multiple assets, different cryptocurrencies. I was starting getting mining Bitcoin. When Ethereum came out, I was mining it from the day it launched. I was at the launch of the event. So I became super passionate about the place from a place of compassion for humanity. Like, we have 50% of every transaction we do involves even current. So whether you want to buy food, you want to have an experience, we're using this form of money that some people get to create out of nothing and other people work really hard for. And that system is not fair. So having something like Bitcoin enter the market, and we'll get into the details what makes Bitcoin so special.
Right.
It's something that's deflationary and it's made from the people for the people. Whereas everything else is kind of we're forced into this. No one's forcing you. No one ever has to use cryptocurrency. Just like nobody had to use Google, nobody had to use YouTube, but people ended up by choice using it because it was the most convenient thing. So same with this technology.
Mm-hmm. So this was back then. So when you started at that time, you yourself had to educate yourself what Bitcoin is and how this works. Now I know it started years back, but now currently present time, a lot of people are aware of this Bitcoin, especially business people who are in business, who are investors, who are thinking about investing. They are aware about Bitcoin. So but there are also a group of people that don't know what Bitcoin is. But before I even get into Bitcoin, what is cryptocurrency? Could you tell us a little bit about cryptocurrency and what kind of Bitcoins are available there? A little bit about that.
Okay, so human beings, right? There needs to be an issue solved for something to emerge, right? Like, we didn't have a way to interact socially so freely. That's why social media got so big, right? Now we can interact without asking permission from people. So the problem that Bitcoin solved was it was the first thing on this planet, or on this whatever, let's say planet for better sake of words, that created something digital and rare. Everything else that you have digital, if you send me a video, a photo, a paragraph, I can make 1 billion or trillion copies of it, and there's no stopping me. That was the plus side of digital, right? So the problem that Bitcoin specifically, because it was the first one to solve it, it made something digital and rare. Meaning that if I send it to you and somebody else, if I send it to you half a second, you have it, I don't have it, the third person doesn't have it, and there's no way to make a copy. Okay. And the way this was possible, why it's called cryptocurrency, is it's cryptographic mathematic computing power. So it started with just basically one computer or a few computers that were regular computers that were able to do this cryptography. But the algorithm is made to get more and more complex. So the way you get rewarded from Bitcoins is the faster your computer is, the more computing power you have to process this cryptographic math code, the more likely you are to get a Bitcoin reward, whether it be a transaction fee or actually one of the original blocks, is why they call it a blockchain.
Blockchain,
So
yeah.
yeah, so every 10 minutes, so we'll go rewind a little bit more with Bitcoin. So 2008,
Yes.
the gentleman launched a white paper, which is like a concept saying, I've came up with this new technology, and that was Halloween 2008. And nobody did nothing for 2 months. So I guess he was like, man, like, I guess I got to do it, right? I already came up with it. So January 3rd, 2009, they called the Genesis block. That just means the first block. So on January 2nd, 2009, there's 0 Bitcoins on this planet. January 3rd, 2009, the first block emerges, and 50 Bitcoins. If you had the cryptographic computing power to win that formula, you would get rewarded. And every 10 minutes, 50 Bitcoins were created. And that's how it started.
There are many Bitcoins available out there, right? There's tons, or is it just one type of Bitcoin?
There's lots of cryptocurrencies available out there. There's only one original Bitcoin. Yeah.
One original Bitcoin, but
so yeah, without getting too complex with the mining thing, just know that it's what secures it. The physical side that people don't see, right? Because it's all digital technically, but most money we use in the world is, even in India, we're going more and more digital, right? But the physical side people are not seeing is you could Google Bitcoin mining and see a picture. It looks like a huge warehouse, like twice the size of humans, stacked with computers everywhere. And these networks are all around the world. There's places in South America, in Asia, in Europe, in the Middle East, everywhere that has these huge data centers that nobody's making them do. People are voluntarily buying these computers. I was an early investor into mining when I got into space too, because it seemed like a good way.
So you're saying you were into mining. Now, from my understanding about cryptocurrency is these 3 ways you can be involved: as a miner, as an investor, as a trader. So which one did you start off with, or which one are you doing right now?
So all the above. I'm no longer mining. I only mined it in 2015, 16, 17, around 18. There were some complications and it was getting less profitable, and the platform I work with ended up going a different direction.
Okay.
But I would say anyone that's a trader is an investor. Unless you're like a gambling style trader, any professional trader is going to have some of the asset he believes in that he's holding, and then the rest of it he's trading to gain more. So I would say a trader and investor are in the same category. Okay. And you could also become a coder, right? So people that are coding these programs on this network, whether it be for Ethereum, whether it be for Bitcoin, coders make great money. Anyone that's young, not sure what to do in life, thinking they're lacking opportunities, there's websites we can pull up, add in the links after, that are gamify, make it like fun to learn coding. And you can learn like Solidity, for example, on Ethereum. If you became a rock star coder, you set your own price. You can make millions a month, but obviously not everyone can become a rock star coder. But if you just become an industry level coder, the average industry leading coder for the regular banking world in that sector, if you're good in the C++ language, you make about $160,000. And it's kind of tough to find a good job. Not tough, but you would have to work for it. If you can learn how to code Solidity, the average job pays you $320,000 a year, and there's 7 positions for every one available. So people are fighting for you. So if you learn to become a basic coder, people would actually be competing for you to work for them. You wouldn't have to search. You would put out you would go on one hackathon, show your skills, and people would be messaging you, trying to pay you big sums of money. Okay, let's go back to Bitcoin and crypto. So cryptographic technology is what made it possible. That's what makes this a huge computer network. It's the biggest computing network in the world. You can take Apple's computers, Microsoft computers, US government's computers, attach them all together, and there'll be a tiny fraction of Bitcoin's computing power. That's why the infrastructure is so safe. So we'll get into the scams difficulties after, but the main network of Bitcoin, maybe in the first year there's a hiccup, but in the last 10 years for sure, there's not a single compromise on the actual Bitcoin network. So we're going to warn and get into scams for people later and how those things happen, but the actual main network has never been compromised.
Okay, great. I have lots of questions in my head because when I posted this on my social media, a lot of people reached out to me and they gave me many questions to ask you. So we are going to continue this show with a lot of information that for those who are interested on Bitcoin. You are watching Dayana's talk show, and here I am having a great conversation with Peter Ratnikov, who is talking to us about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. All right, so Peter, now that we were just talking about how it's doing well. But according to my understanding, there's a little bit of issues happening right now. People are investing. And for an example, Elon Musk. Now, this system looks like pump and dump. Okay, so what like these great big investors, what they're doing is they are promoting Bitcoin, saying that, for an example, like Elon Musk, say that you can purchase Tesla using Bitcoins, right? Everybody came. It just pumped up, went up, went up. And then when he came to that point where he made his money, he comes out and say, hello world, you cannot buy Tesla using Bitcoin. But I still hear there are a lot of people out there saying that you can purchase things using Bitcoin. Now, when the minute he said you can't buy Tesla, it went down. Boom, it went down. So this looks.
So I'll go into a little bit backstory, right? Mm-hmm. They've been looking at the main financial institution that has a monopoly on the current currency we use. Mm-hmm. Doesn't want to give up a monopoly. Nobody that has control of something for as long as they have wants to give another option. So in 2015, 16, 17, I've seen all these different propaganda campaigns. And the ones that used to work the best, especially the last year or two, would be a government will ban it and say it's going to be illegal in this country. And the price would tank. And this has been happening for several years. So the last one, I think they made an announcement in India, unless I'm mistaken. They wanted to kind of ban it there and did nothing to the price. So the people that have the monopoly on the current central banking infrastructure.
Yes.
Elon Musk, at the end of the day, I don't know him personally, I don't know all the details, but I know he's building a 5G internet with satellites around the world. I know he works with states. I know that he's obviously attending dinners and brunches and interacting with these human beings that own this monopoly of the financial system. Right. And all it would take is for them to be like, hey, buddy, you want to keep living this dream life without us giving you any complications? We need to. They're actually buying Bitcoin. If you read the statement he made about the FUD, there's 3 paragraphs of him talking negative. But if you see the first sentence in the second or third paragraph, he is, we will not be selling our Bitcoin. So even though, wait a second, he's all against this, he's not going to sell any of his Bitcoin. So what happens when big people and people that have a lot more influence, when they miss an opportunity, they make sure to bring it back, right? Regular people, we miss an opportunity, it might be gone. We don't have $100 million, $1 billion, $10 billion to manipulate an asset, influence with our friends and bring it back. Because think about it. If you are on a different level of money, like hundreds of millions, billions of dollars, it's not about money at that point. You're doing this for either ego, control, power, whatever the case may be. It's not like you're doing it so you could have 10 boats. Nobody needs 10 boats and 100 houses. Once you have a few houses, all the experiences you need, right? It becomes a different game, right? So my concern with it is they just it's not even for the wealth, but for them, how much better does it sound if you're going to put 100 million or 10 million into Bitcoin, if you got it at 49,000, knowing that you think it's going to go to 250,000 or 100,000, as opposed to buying it for 68, right? So to us, and it might even drop down to 30 for a short bit, but then it's still going to make its way back up to a new all-time high. So to put it this way, anyone that's bought in Bitcoin and held for 3 years never lost money. So if you're looking to buy Bitcoin at any time, you could have bought it at the all-time high last bull market. And if you just waited 3 years, you would be up right now. So if you're getting into this and you're sacrificing food off your table, no, maybe learn to code, maybe learn to balance out, get a little more balanced cash flow in your life, then consider this new technology. But you could still learn how to use it without being an investor and to just get your toe wet, right? You could download the app. Yeah, you could put in like 10, 20 bucks, or have a friend, I don't mind sending people a couple of dollars so they experience the technology. Like someone live right now could pull up a QR code on your podcast, I could scan and send them $1 or $10,000 without asking any permission. So this and it being so back to the deflationary part, so people understand why it's so special. So think about Bitcoin. We think about Bitcoin and we go to altcoins after, like different coins.
Mm-hmm.
What makes it different is there's only going to be 21 million Bitcoins ever. Mm-hmm. So that was the code that they made a formula. So as I mentioned, every 10 minutes, 50 were created. 4 years later, it went in half. So 4 years after the first block of Bitcoin, 25 Bitcoins were created every 10 minutes. Since then, there's been 2 more halvings. So it went to 12 and a half, and then 6 1/4 Bitcoins created every 10 minutes, right? So that is how you get it. But there's only going to be 21 million. It's going to take to the year 2140 from mining to finish. By then, if Bitcoin's still around 120 years from now, there'll be so much money in transaction fees. The miners will still be making great living off that. We already have 18 point something of the 21 million made. What people have to realize is it's going to take 100 years for the last 7% of Bitcoins to be mined. So essentially, we're going to have 93% of them in circulation by the year 2040. But there's only going to be 21 million of them. And each unit has 10 million small units. So a Bitcoin is the big unit. There's only 21 million. And each unit in Bitcoin has 10 million Satoshis. The Satoshi, think of it as like the penny of the dollar. Like, you know what I mean? The smaller unit. So, for example, a million Satoshis is 0.1 Bitcoin, right? But just the same way, you could interact with a fraction of a penny or a few short rubles, and it will be like 0.0000000 Bitcoin, but you can still use it. So you have to realize there's over 40,000 millionaires in this planet. You have the biggest money institutions now looking at this space. And no matter what, we've never had this. With gold, yes, it's hard to get out the ground, but if it starts picking up and people want it in demand, more gold mines open and they start digging up more gold from the ground. They'll make more paper derivatives of the gold. If you want to own the actual real Bitcoin asset, doesn't matter if all of a sudden everybody wants it, every millionaire decides they want their own coin. There's not enough, and there's only going to be 21 million. And we've never had something deflationary for human beings to invest their time and energy. Like right now, if you haven't made 25% returns on your cash last year, you've lost money. That's how much we hyperinflated. So as opposed to, let's say you got to Bitcoin last year, I'm not saying every year that's going to be the case, but just we're talking about the last calendar year, Bitcoin was about $7,000 to $9,000 last year. So if you had $10,000, which you can buy with that this year, is about $7,500 worth of value. But if you put that money into Bitcoin, you can buy $60,000 in value today because it's deflationary. There's less and less of them, whereas money is just getting printed more and more, and especially now that we've ever seen in most human beings' lives that are alive today.
Right. So the differences between Bitcoin and our physical currency is physical. We can see, feel the currency that we have right now, but Bitcoin you cannot physically see, and it is who is controlling that, because our currency, yes, we have a specific bank at a country which controls and gives the authority, right? Now, when it comes to Bitcoin, how does that work? Who controls who?
So the quick story to understand for people that went through the downloading phase. So when we first were able to download music, it was called Napster. A lot of people probably remember, right? But it was a centralized company that got taken down. After they got taken down, LimeWire and a bunch of competitors popped up, but they were also had companies, CEOs, buildings. So it took them longer to shut down those 8 or 10 or whatever, but they shut them down. Then most people don't know something came out, unless you use it, called Pirate Bay. And it's a way to download music illegally till this day. And there's no building company that runs it. It's just millions of people around the world are choosing to let themselves download peer-to-peer. So I would argue that was one of the world's first decentralized peer-to-peer networks for downloading. Now think about Bitcoin, just applied that same concept with money. Somebody anonymously dropped this white paper. They used an alias called Satoshi Nakamoto, but that could be a man, female, group of people, alien, we don't know, right? It's just an alias that they use.
Okay. What type of a risk taker should you be if you want to buy a Bitcoin, or if you want to be an investor or a trader in this industry? Because if you go to a bank, there's a financial advisor who gives you certain options for you, like mutual funds or tax-free in Canada, I would say. And they would give you the advice on, this is low risk, this is high risk, this is, you can, which whenever you choose. But when it comes to Bitcoin, I think it's a high risk, because from what I understand is you can lose money overnight. Is that right? Like when you buy a
I wouldn't say the risk is not so much investing in Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. The risk is, the difference is what you just mentioned. If you make a mistake with your bank, they'll correct it for you. Meaning, like, you forgot a password, you lost all your documentation, but you just go get a government ID, come back, and they reset your account.
Mm-hmm.
In Bitcoin, if you forgot your password, right, if you're doing it the right way, or if you didn't write down the backup phrases, they give you 12 to 24 words to back up, and that is a way, if whatever happens, as long as you have those words, your money will be safe. So the new way of backing up in this system, instead of making this complex computer code, they
Mm-hmm.
just dubbed it down to 12 to 24 words so people can understand it. But the biggest risk is two things: people forgetting their password, people not backing up and not writing down those words. And most commonly, I would say this is just recently, before people would actually just make a bad decision, buy Bitcoin, and their friend will recommend a Ponzi or a scam platform, and they'll choosefully, out of their choice, send the Bitcoin there. So obviously I felt bad. I didn't like that. But something much worse is happening now. People that are going into Google and
Mm-hmm.
searching like common wallets are not paying attention, and they'll say they put in blockchain wallet. This is a major hack that's been going on blockchain for the last several weeks now.
Mm-hmm.
And people that are not paying attention, you click on an ad that looks exactly like blockchain. You click on it, they have a page that they're squeezing your information. You type in your password, then you actually get to enter to the real site. So you think, oh, I went to the right place. And they collect everyone's emails and passwords, and then a week, a month later, all your coins will be gone. So it's things like that I would be more concerned about warning people, as opposed to the ups and downs. Like, if you're worried about the ups and downs, don't look at the market. Buy a digital asset that's changing the world, that you're diverse to. It's like buying a bar of silver, a bar of gold, right? You're not gonna look every day at the gold and silver market, get stressed out. You could, but that's not necessarily for everyone. So I would say there's absolutely no fear if you have the kahunas to just invest in something and just know that you have a piece of this. If it goes down, it goes down. It goes up, it goes up. But my biggest concern to people is make sure you back up.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to put in bigger money, you buy a device that gets off the internet. So it looks like a USB stick. There's three main competitors: Nano Ledger S, Trezor, and KeepKey. So just think of it as a device that's made to keep your digital assets off the internet. So people that have bigger money, I would directly go right to one of those devices. Then they give you a Bitcoin account number for the sake of a Bitcoin wallet in there. So you get your Bitcoin bank account number for the sake of people understanding it. And then you just send your money right off the internet. That's not hackable. And it's in a safe place. Now, if you're a smaller investor and you're putting in money that you would spend going to dinner, right? No big deal if you get hacked. But obviously the goal is not to get hacked. So be careful and like go through these things. Make sure you're not going on ads. Don't sign up to a bunch of random platforms you never got no background on or never got recommended, right? These are the little things people overlook, but it's the simple things that get you in trouble. It's not the new technology that goes up and down in price. That happens with a lot of stocks and a lot of different assets. The scariest part about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin to newbies is not knowing how to properly store it. And I highly recommend people not buying it through their bank accounts or through credit cards. You can. It's just not the right way to go about it. Like
how do you buy it?
Cash, right, to Bitcoin, right? So there's ATMs all over the world. There was brokers called local Bitcoins, and 5 years ago there wasn't a country in a city in the world where there wasn't several human brokers. But now there's tons of even like broker agencies. Like in Toronto, the one I go to, it kind of looks like one of those cash money places, but they'll have a section of the store that does just cryptocurrency. So that's starting to become more and more common and relevant around the world as well.
Okay, so tell me this, like if I want to buy a Bitcoin, you said pay cash, but there are apps that you should use in order to be part of this, right? Or how do you purchase a Bitcoin?
So you would, like I said, for a bigger investor, You go, you spend 100, 200, $300, and you buy one of those USB sticks I talked about. So
Okay.
anyone putting in like, even if it's big money to you, even if you want to invest $1,000, but you only have $1,200, and that is very important to you, buy that USB stick. Don't keep it on exchanges. That's the most dangerous place to hold your cryptocurrency and your Bitcoins and of that nature. But there's tons of good wallets. Trust, if you want me to recommend one, TRUST is a wallet made by Binance. Why I started recommending them more recently. Blockchain just got hacked. I used to recommend them, so I'm not going to be recommending that. And I already stopped recommending them before the hack, Intuition. But the Trust wallet, why I like it, it makes you write down your 12 words. Now, I'm going to just overemphasize this for the new people. Those 12 words are important to get your money. But the second part that you have to realize is there's a lot of amazing human beings in the world, but there is some not so nice human beings. And if somebody takes a picture of your 12 or 24 words, they can take your income. They could take all your money that's on that account. So what you do is you make sure you keep them in 2 different spots. So if it's 24 words, I would laminate 12 words and 12 words. You can keep even 4 copies at home of the first 12 words. Doesn't matter. With the first 12 words, they can't do nothing. But with the other 24 words, you have in a safety security deposit box, buried in the ground, in your mom's house in the closet, whatever your safe place is that nobody knows about. And that way, if somebody, or say it's 12 words, same thing applies, 6 and 6. But if one day, one of your kids' friends who's a little smart butt, you know what I'm saying? He goes, oh, I heard mom's the Bitcoin, or I seen somebody picks the pictures of those words. He goes, puts in the bot system, and it goes, tries all the accounts. You're going to get wrecked. So it's human mistake, not blockchain or crypto technology. It's not going to be the world's most advanced cryptographic technology that's going to probably bite you in the butt. It's most likely going to be you making a human mistake using this super advanced cryptographic technology.
Right. From my friend's experience, what I got to know is one of the friends jumped and said when she knew that I was going to do this interview today, she's like, I lost my money and I don't have any more money. I bought Bitcoin and I lost money. And the other person who spoke to me said that he uses apps. There's an app that he uses to purchase Bitcoin and monitor his Bitcoin and the trading and investing process that he's involved, whatever that he's involved in this industry. So that's how but I never knew about the sticks that you're talking about, which is safer than the apps. That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, so like I said, anyone that's looking to learn a new skill and have fun with the space, and even if you're a big investor, I would say just do that as well. But let's say you do have $10,000 or $100,000 you're investing. It makes sense to move 90 or even more in some cases percent of that not on the internet. So you move that right off. So let's say you're at 100 or 10 and you start with 9. Then you take that 1,000 or that 10 and then you join exchanges and you buy other coins and you have fun with the technology. But that way, if you make a mistake or you get hacked, it's with 5, 10, 8% of your portfolio, not the whole thing.
Right.
There is, okay. Why I also preach cash, I'm very transparent. I teach people to do things on their terms. So I personally prefer not to give anything I earn to the state. I already pay enough of the things I purchase. But some people are very proud of paying taxes. Nothing wrong with that if that's for you. So when you do it through the banking system or you buy it through credit cards or these apps and you link your account, it's not under your terms. They're going to demand something at some point. Whereas if you buy it with cash, if you want to cash it out in cash, nobody knows. If you want to declare it and pay tax for some strange reason, you can as well. It's not wrong or illegal for you to buy it in cash. They just prefer it because once you link your bank account and you made the purchase, it says forever. Let's say you bought it today. It would say May 15th at 10 p.m. You bought this amount of Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever it is at this price, and it's there forever. But if you buy cash to a human being, nobody can prove, did I buy Bitcoin, did I not? Whose Bitcoin is that, right? So I teach people how to stay anonymous, and I think there's lots of advantages to doing it that way. But if you go the other way, there is platforms. There's now debit cards. They came out 4 or 5 years ago. Then the banks clamped down, and now they're letting them go again. So you could have Visa debit cards, like prepaid credit cards that you send your Bitcoin to, and you can go out. Like I pulled out pesos, euros, dollars from these credit cards, and it was Bitcoin on the actual account. So there's easy ways to interact with it if you want to link your identity. And there's a platform, for example, called BlockFi. The two brothers that sued Facebook and won, they've been into Bitcoin big time. So they launched an exchange in the States called Gemini, and they have BlockFi as their new spin-off. So you could invest up to $250,000, it might be $500,000, but at least $250,000 in Bitcoin, Ethereum. They'll insure it. They'll keep it safe. You're linking your identity, which is the part I'm not a big fan of, but they'll also pay you 7 to 8.6% interest on your crypto, on your Bitcoin or Ethereum annually.
Oh.
Now you want to go riskier. There's other platforms like Bybit, for example, that pays you 15% on your Bitcoin annually. And you don't have to lock it in. You could have it there for a month, a day, a week, and they'll figure out the interest. There's another coin called Polkadot, which is a competitor to Ethereum, but the gentleman who started Polkadot used to work with Ethereum. They're all in the same tribe, right? If you have your Bitcoin, Ethereum sitting on those devices, it's just safe there. But you could actually have Polkadot sitting on that device and making 10% interest on your Polkadot. Oh. So there's the amount of opportunity and excitement in the space are nonstop, right? So once you like dip your toe, I don't think people realize that finance before crypto and Bitcoin and this whole movement was very boring. Even stocks, they're pretty boring. They make up like, it was never really exciting. Like when is the people that are changing the world making tweets and about the banking system we use? Like it was never something trending. So what's cool about this, it's exciting, it's fun, it's something completely different from the old financial world we're used to.
All right, and it's technology as well. You put yourself out there. Now, what as a consultant, are you telling me Bitcoin could be a future?
The technology that Bitcoin is built on, whether it be Bitcoin, Ethereum, or another technology, there is going to be another layer of internet 3.0. These central data, this mindset of we own none of our digital content, like this YouTube video. YouTube owns the video, not yourself, right? Mm-hmm. When I post on Instagram, I don't own the video or the picture. Instagram owns it. Right. And this concept that we sign a contract, we get monitored for everything and compensated nothing for all the energy we do to put to these platforms. Mm-hmm. That's going to go away. It might take 5, 10, 15 years. The future that we're living in is you own your own digital content. Mm-hmm. And it's on your terms. And we don't know what the possibility is going to be, but it's going to be far beyond. Almost everything's going to be a digital asset. They're calling them NFTs, non-fungible token, but just think about it as one of one digital assets. So there'll be, for example, promos you'll be able to watch for free as like a promotion. But if you want to read the whole email, if you want to finish watching the whole video, you have to pay a fraction of a cent. But that will become the normal way of interaction. The other thing people have to realize, I always emphasize this, we didn't talk about staking very much. So the more computing power for mining you have, the more likely you break the code. Most of these other coins, the newer ones coming out, are using something called staking. What it is also cryptographic technology, but instead of it being the more computing power, the more you're likely to win, it's about just having a base computing power that's solid, that works. And the more how you get returns is you take a part of that asset and leverage it. So for example, you would buy Polkadot and you would lock it into the network, and that helps secure the network through cryptography, and they pay you interest on that. Right. So that's what staking is. And that is the most common new technologies, new cryptocurrencies that are coming out. A lot of them are going that route. So understanding that, what's going to happen in the future is we went to space with less technology than one cell phone. Like all the computers in that office, in that shot, your cell phone is most likely more powerful than that. And most of us just watch YouTube videos and watch friends' pictures, and it's cute, right? But we're definitely not maximizing the computing power we have on our cell phone. So what the future is going to look like, more or less, I don't have a crystal ball, but most likely is you're going to plug in your phone at night, and those 8 hours you're sleeping, you're going to power a distributed computer network. It might be a decentralized Uber. It might be a decentralized Airbnb. And the thing is, some are going to pay more than others, but the way the world's going, people are going to choose out of love. And they go, you know what? I can make $8 while I sleep powering this network, but I may only make $7 powering this one, but I believe in this network more, and I'm willing to make an extra less dollar. And just by waking up by using your phone, you'll be getting some rewards. Now, if you have wealth to leverage, times that number, whatever it is, you can wake up and be making $100,000, $1,000 a day if you have massive wealth, because you'll be staking through your cell phone this new internet. So the new internet's not going to run on centralized data servers underground that corporations own. The new internet that we'll all be using 5, 10, 15 years from now or sooner is going to run on our cell phones, and we're going to power it voluntarily, just like Pirate Bay we talked about. And we talked about this big one. It's choice. No one's making anyone do all these things, but it's just going to happen because it's the most logical thing to happen.
Right. All right. So this is Peter for us. He has been giving us a lots of information about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. So for those of you who are watching this, I hope you got enough information from Peter. And Peter, there's number one rule in investing. It's that you must trust in who you are investing in. So if anybody wants to invest, or if anybody wants to own a Bitcoin, if you trust the system and if you trust the process, and if you think you can handle that high risk. Now, Peter, he says he's making enough money, and right, and he calls himself a consultant, because if he didn't see a profit out of this, then he wouldn't be sitting there and talking confidently that this system works well. So there's something that's happening, and he's doing it right. So if you have any further questions or anything, you can reach out to Peter. His information is right below in the description. You can connect with him, learn more about it. Is there anything else that you would like to tell Peter? You have given us a lot of information, and it's a new thing that's out here, and of course a lot of people are in the industry trying to learn and think, because people don't trust a system easily, because there's a lot of system out there, like pyramid system. They're trying to promote things, and people need to trust, and if they trust, definitely they'll find the right thing. So is there something that you would like to tell?
So final warnings for people. Just all about safety, right? If a platform is asking you for your information, don't use it. There's so many good cryptocurrency exchanges, wallets, platforms that you could just hit skip. And all you need to be giving them is your email and a password. Maximum with email verification, maybe a Google authenticator, maybe a cell phone at very most. But if anyone's asking for government ID, your documents, that's already huge red flags and warning that could be a scam. Part two, you want to own your own cryptocurrency. Somebody else, most of these referral programs, some of them are good. There's always good things everywhere, but the big bulk of them are doing something not for the good of people. And what they're actually doing is they're telling you have this crypto asset that they make up that doesn't change, doesn't usually trade in the free market. Like Pi is one of the ones trending right now. Everyone's downloading an app and pushing it every day. But here's the thing. But my point is this: I haven't figured out. All the other scams were kind of like earlier, and they can literally just take your money, and people were silly enough to do it. Now I guess people are getting smarter. The only thing I can think of why Pi would be doing that is that at the end of the day, now they have millions of users that are logging in, and they're taking all your data. So they're selling your data just like Facebook would. And eventually, if I had to guess, they're not going to launch anything. Like, we could launch a Bitcoin alternative or a crypto asset within a matter of minutes. It's as easy as launching a website. But it's like this: if nobody goes to your website, what use does it have? So if me and you launch a crypto asset today, and only me and you use it, and nobody else on the planet, how much? And no one's computer network is powering it. So me and you are the only two computers on the planet powering it. Me and you are the only ones that know about it. It's like a website that's there. So when somebody says we have this great coin, but it's going to come out in the future, you're like, why wouldn't you just launch it now? If it's so great, launch it right now, or launch it, prove it, and then let us invest. So anyone that's asking for your information, don't give it to them. Anyone that's saying, you know what, don't go Bitcoin, don't go Ethereum, or all these tokens that you actually own yourself. Go into this platform, because it's going to give you 100% return every 3 months or every year. It's probably a scam. So just be very wary. There is legitimate ways where you could jump into certain platforms. Like, there's a platform on Polkadot called Pancake Swap. They pay you about 90% interest a year for powering that network. But for you to be able to learn how to buy Polkadot, then learn how to buy this other coin called Pancake Swap, and then learn how to stake it, these are all skills required, right? So this wouldn't be easy. It is easy, but it just requires a little bit of time. But if somebody calls you and goes, hey, all you have to do is buy Bitcoin from the store, send it to me here, and you're going to make double your money every so often without doing nothing, that doesn't make sense, right? Like, if I'm explaining to you there's ways to get residual income, it's usually difficult, and not difficult, just it's something new. It's like email's not difficult, but you never send the email. You have to learn how to use the infrastructure, learn how to properly structure email, how you're supposed to say hello first, or et cetera, et cetera. There's just a learning curve, right? So there's tons of opportunities in the space. There's only been half of 1% of the entire planet that's used Bitcoin or any cryptocurrency. They're still equating it to about 98, 95 to 99 of the internet. Mm-hmm. So imagine, like, I was too young personally to capitalize financially off the internet boom, but anyone that's missed that wave, don't be hard on yourself. You have a second chance. I don't know if you're going to get a third chance. So right now, you didn't capitalize on internet 1.0. Then 2.0 will say it was social media, and you could have invested in those platforms. So some people didn't capitalize on internet 2.0. So the people that didn't take any action, consider taking some action. We're having a 3.0 internet being built. It's going to make all your lives better. You're going to be using the technology one way or another. So if you choose to take action now, and maybe a little bit of risk, and you can invest time if you don't have money. Like I said, you can find skills you can learn in the space, and you can get paid in cryptocurrencies. So don't make an excuse that you don't have extra money, you're not good with money and assets and investing. Find a way. Find an extra 2 hours a week, 10 hours a week. Do something part-time. It might take you 6 months, but if you get good at that skill and don't quit, people will pay you in these digital assets. And you learn to use this now is going to give nothing but advantages in your life. Just like I can't promise you, if you started learning the internet and getting into coding and learning how to use certain apps in 98, yeah, you could have still made huge mistakes and not did good in life. But I'm pretty sure if you stuck to it, the opportunities would have been so abundant. So don't feel because the prices on Bitcoin specifically look high, and just because you could buy 1% of 1% of a coin, don't let it discourage you. If Bitcoin does go 4 times its money, you're still 1%, 1% of 1% still went 4 times. So if you put in $400 and Bitcoin doubles up, you still made 800. Doesn't mean, oh, I didn't have a full Bitcoin. And then people chase these smaller cap projects because the price per coin looks better. Don't look at the price per coin. Look at the market cap, the total value of the coin. So for example, there's only going to be 21 million Bitcoin, but there's going to be 113 million Ethereum, and it deflates slowly. So if Ethereum's price, for example, went to about $40,000, its ecosystem would technically be bigger than Bitcoin's, right? Even though the price per coin is less, there's so many more coins. So if you're a newbie, don't feel, oh, I shouldn't buy Bitcoin. I'm just going to buy these little small coins because I have a better chance of making money. No, do what the rich, wealthy are doing. You don't want to listen to me, go listen to the billionaires, because what they're doing is they're buying Bitcoin primarily, Ethereum, and sure, they're speculating and doing other things with other assets, but make it a habit. That's why I teach people. Take risk and have fun with other projects, but make it a habit to store your wealth and your energy. And think about it. We have something now as a human being that is actually most likely going up in value because it's less and less of it and people want more and more. Whereas opposed to if you keep your hard-earned work and effort in dollars or rubies, they're just going to, the government's going to print another billion, another trillion, another 10 trillion. And eventually you're going to notice the price of bread going up in price, everything. You're like, what's going on? But if now you have the choice as a human being with no one making you, just a choice you can make on your own to invest into something that's actually changing the world and is for human beings. And like I said, believe it or not, the only way you're not going to be using this technology is if we go back to hunting and gathering. So if all the time, we have satellites in space that power the Bitcoin network. So meaning if we had an EMP attack on the world for, let's say, 5 minutes or 5 days, once electricity came back, the Bitcoin economy continues like it never stopped. You think that about your banks and the SWIFT network, and none of that's going to exist. And the final point, we talked about banks. Banks hold less than 3% liquidity in Canada these days. And it's even worse in the States. I heard it's less than 1% in a lot of banks. So when you go to the bank and let's say you have $10,000 in your account, you think that they have everyone's $10,000 in the safe. They don't. They have, if literally 5% of people went to the bank and wanted to take out their money, the bank doesn't have it. Literally 5%. So we're already in a digital economy. Most people's wealth, some people are old school, and I know in India, you guys are huge in gold, and I love that. But we talk about North America, most of the world, people aren't storing cash in their walls. They're not holding silver and gold. They're holding a digital asset that's diminishing, that's centralized, that they have no control over, as opposed to this new up and coming thing. So people consider it out of love, and it is going to change the world, right?
Of course. Thank you so much, Peter. You have a high energy, and absolutely no doubt you're a consultant. You know in and out, you have dug deep into Bitcoin, and you have given us all the information that you could possibly give us, the risks, what to do, what not to do, and what's the best way to purchase Bitcoin and how to purchase. So thank you so much for all those information. And if anybody missed this live, please do not forget to go to the description below, connect with Peter, and find out any information that you want, or watch this. When you're watching this live, please do not forget to click that little bell button and subscribe to our channel, because I will be bringing great individuals like Peter to share amazing knowledge with all of you. So Peter, thank you so very much for being with us, sharing your knowledge, and showing your high energy to everyone, and being confident with what you've invested in, and saying that yes, it's great, invest and get it done. So thank you so much, Peter. Have a wonderful Saturday. All right, guys, whoever is watching this channel, please do not forget to subscribe to our channel and stay tuned until I see you guys on my next episode. You never know where I'm going to take you virtually and meet someone interesting. Until I see you guys next time, dream big, achieve big. This is Dayana from Canada.
உலகில் நீங்கள் எங்கிருந்தாலும் விஜே டிவியின் யூடியூப் தளத்தை உடன் சப்ஸ்கிரைப் செய்து அதன் நிகழ்ச்சிகளை கண்டுகளிக்கும் அதேவேளை மிக பிரம்மாண்டமான பரிசுகளை அள்ளுங்கள். சப்ஸ்கிரைப் பட்டனை தட்டுங்க, பரிசுகளை அள்ளுங்க.